our Student Success Act Comprehensive Plan. All of our Student Investment Act services are falling under her guidance, and we're very happy to have her in that role. And she wanted to come out and visit.
Awesome.
And she's been here before. It hasn't told me about the experiences when she's substituted too. So
cool.
Seeing her around, another one pricing around.
I answered the phone once, and I didn't have any information. So I stopped doing that.
Well, first of all, I guess if we talk about services, one of the things that we've got shared in common now happens to be Superintendent Wilson. So that's something that we share together, and we're thankful for still holding on to part of what she's doing. And so she is probably a really good resource for the Lane DSD services, probably a lot more deeper than what I'll be able to tell you tonight. But my purpose tonight is to just kind of remind folks of the process, and that process includes that our component school district boards are the ones that actually have to approve the plan, as our school district superintendents have to kind of create the plan. And the plan that's been created and the plan that's kind of in front of you for your action, whether it be tonight or sometime before March 1st, isn't really a whole lot different than what it's been the last couple of years. So it's not like there's huge changes. There are, I think, some potential additions that we can see in the case of some menu customized services. Those might be right now for some small districts. We are looking to provide nursing services for I think about 4 districts. We look at potential human resource assistance that might be falling in this kind of custom service for maybe this next year and beyond. But the local service plan is essentially for the 2023-24 school year, so it's next year and really kind of a 2-year plan. But we have to come and kind of have folks vote on annually. Still, the biggest categories that we've got for services that Mapleton takes advantage of are school improvement and special education. And we also offer technology and some administrative services as well as required by law. And there's ways that those interact with what you do in Mapleton. But the biggest is still special education and school improvement. So we were officially approved by the Superintendent Council in December. The Lane ESD Board officially approved this January 3rd at our meeting earlier this month. And we're just asking our component school boards to take action by March 1st. And again, not a lot of changes, which means it's probably pretty sound, but also just a reminder that what's included in the local service plan, and you'll find it toward the back of the document, is the SSA, Student Success Act Comprehensive Support Plan. I guess the other thing I'll add is, and this is the Sue room is going to be hard to talk about, is because she's the one who's doing it, Cassidy's doing it, I'm not doing any of it, I'm just here to give the PR. It's the integrated guidance. So the Oregon Department of Education is kind of tasked ESDs, give us some money to stand up an integrated guidance support plan where the districts now throughout the state, the idea is that all the different streams of money that comes, all the different reports that have to be done, that we start seeing some integration of those. We start seeing where instead of this money goes for this money goes for that, this money can be braided, and therefore we'll have more bang for the buck. And I will say that my colleagues in ESD superintendent positions around the state are expressing how there's some frustration on the part of districts with this plan. It was supposed to help and make everything easier. Well, in Lane County, and I give credit to Sue, give credit to Cassidy, our superintendents are not saying that. We had our superintendent meeting Tuesday after a big event Friday at Lane Community College that Susie's organized and did a fantastic job of. But our superintendents were stating without any solicitation, wow, that Friday event was great, and we're getting the help we need with the integrated plan. So that's some good news to report, and I guess I'm happy for our region that we've got the right people to work. So any questions?
You mentioned the 4 districts that will be getting nursing services. Are we one of those 4 districts?
You can. If it's that's a service with it's a custom service.
Oh.
And what that means is that when you have as few as 4 districts or 5 districts that want something, we'll go out and try to find that service for folks. So we don't have like a stable of nurses. That's where we've heard, okay, these districts would like some services. And it's more, it's not the day they put the Band-Aid on type of service right now. It's more about somebody with a proper license that can train staff to make sure that they're taking care of some of the classrooms.
Okay.
So that's a possibility for next week. That's something we can
And to clarify, direct nursing in schools or nursing support?
It's more of a nurse that would oversee the kind of some procedures and things. It's not somebody that's housed in schools.
Not on the
Somebody that-
ground.
They'd be around with some individual education plan, some 504 plan, and kind of some assistance with that.
All right. Any other questions for Tony?
I don't think so. Thank you for the information.
And if any questions do come up, it doesn't have to be just when
Right.
we run through Sue or let us
Totally.
know, contact the ESD. That answer.
Thanks for showing up.
Thanks for having us.
And you can
We've
stay.
been fed. We had entertainment.
You can stay and you can leave. Either, it's up to you. We're going to continue our business, but we really appreciate that you prioritized us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for just letting us stuff like that. And I wanted to just say thank you all for all the work you're doing, and I really enjoyed, I went on the Ruby Bridges walk in November with some of you all, and I helped recruit some of the volunteers, and I would be glad to do that again.
Fantastic, thanks.
Laura, if you didn't fill out a form out there for contact information and all that, on
Sure.
your way out on the, put some input on the community walls, and then there's a
I'll do
form
that.
there as a member of the
I
community.
will definitely do that. Thanks.
Awesome. Okay, let's go on to our district reports. That's the middle school and the high school report.
Well, okay, we can do that. So a couple different things, and we'll give an update on preschool following public comment from Abby last month. So couple different things. Hopefully you all noticed the sign in the back, but to all of you, happy Board Appreciation Month, and hope, like these gifts to you, and just the, like, I want to acknowledge, like, Brenda and quite a few staff members worked together to get those put together, and those are the thumbprints of all of our students are represented on the 5. So, and the, what is it, the red ones?
The red apples.
The red apples are the ripe ones who are our seniors. So,
And there's a quote on the back.
There's a quote on the
I
back
saw
that
it.
actually
We really appreciate you. There's been a lot of years that I haven't remembered on the map, but it's like, you guys are amazing, so thank you for the support.
This is the coolest gift.
I know,
I've
I'm
ever
so
gotten.
happy. I
Ever.
work from home and I have like a whole display that people see while I do all my Zoom calls, and so this is like going right there, and everything.
I will tell you, we are so blessed to have Cassie Barrows on our
band
staff. This was, yes.
Cool.
Why don't y'all read that quote?
Oh, sure.
No,
It says,
sorry.
there is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about.
And just
Thank you.
to acknowledge real quick, thank you for your service on the board too. So you're included.
Yeah.
You're included in
That's
that.
right.
So.
That's why I got that meeting.
Okay, and a couple different things. Obviously, we have a community engagement event happening tonight, and so just connection to what Tony shared about the integrated plan. So we gave the SIA student investment account update 2 months ago, last month, I can't remember, and talked a little bit about what future looks like, and that integration of student investment account, high school success, money, career and technical education, everyday matters attendance, early warning systems, and continuous improvement plans for districts, and the opportunity to really name our outcomes, strategies, and align those to our district vision, and then the development of our graduate profile. All of those are moving together and informed through community engagement, our community, our staff, and our students, and community, and very inclusive of families, I should say that specifically. So a number of events planned, happening. There are surveys out. There are lots of fun things happening. So, and then I want to acknowledge Abby and quite a few team members have been working together, and Booster PTO club is that's not a club. Organization. The O stands for organization. Is kicking off Friday.
Mhm.
Some movement happening in all sorts of directions, and it can't happen without our community partners and families and friends stepping up and leading that work together. So
That is so huge.
yeah,
Mhm.
awesome.
I really, it's like so exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in terms of so quick, we didn't have water. Surprise.
Weird.
No, and just I think enough communication has gone about all that, but just hopefully you heard acknowledgments for the waste community. Stepped up, helped out, are in the background and at the front, and just the resilience of our community to just keep going and move forward. Also connected to that, I will say, I've said since I met you all, the vision is a model rural community school and resource hub. I didn't know that meant infrastructure when I started, and that has to mean infrastructure. And so we're exploring opportunities for backup well for the community, backup generators, all the things, because that we, as a community, we have to be able to rely on those resources. So, I'm trying to keep it short today because we started late. There are lots of awesome things happening in all the different classrooms, students stepping up academically, and through sports and clubs and activities, different people taking on different leadership roles, and we'll focus next month's update. It's best when Caleb comes in and shares all those things, because he can actually tell you, like, here's the lowdown. But I just want to acknowledge, like, those things are continuing to happen, and we're moving. So, do you want to do elementary and then I do preschool, or do
Sure.
you want? Okay.
So, Caleb is used to steal my thunder.
I know.
Although I was
Put less on my
so
list.
grateful because it just, he makes us all look good. The parent group I'm excited about, because we're wanting to do something that's preschool through senior, and so by dividing that up a little bit, many hands make lighter work. I don't know that it's gonna be light work, but lighter work. And so Abby and I have met, and I know she's had several different meetings and brainstormed some ideas, and I think we have a lot of valuable resources in the community, people, for example, that would love to help, but they don't know exactly where, and this would be a really good opportunity for them to get connected. I'm excited about the prospect of new families coming in, being able to connect with other families, because I haven't had to do that very many times in my life, but I can imagine that coming to a small community is hard, and a welcome wagon brings them in and gives them a place of support. That would be great. I did not know that ESD was going to be here, but I would like to put a plug in for Lynette Kashke. She is our behavior specialist. We haven't had that level of care for a while in the same way. She is pretty amazing. She's helping me set up individual plans. She's really teaching me. I haven't been at the elementary for over 10 years, and it is a different beast than it was 10 years ago. And certainly different than my 30 years ago training to be an elementary teacher. And so that's amazing.
Awesome.
Our speech and language path is phenomenal. We have amazing support from the ESD. And then one of my goals was to increase school-wide field trips for the elementary, and so we went and visited, in the fall we went and visited local community resources and had breakfast at the Lions Club, and then we went to the pumpkin patch, and of course that's kind of an annual thing. Our next thing is we're doing the folk festival again. There's a musician who's going to be showing and demonstrating lots of musical instruments, and that's going to be fun. And then I had never been to the Umpqua Discovery Center, and that is the museum exploratory thing center in Reedsport. It's been there for a long time. I took my mother-in-law and my mom there. I'm like, I gotta go check this out, and we're gonna take the school there. It is amazing. It's right there on the river. It's beautiful. The artwork, if nothing else, the murals on the wall and the interactive pieces are going to be great.
Umpqua what?
Discovery Center.
I never heard
Gotta
of it.
take our grandkids.
I
Like, and you
I
can
wonder
see the
if we
sign
could get the
you go
artist,
through
Pam
and support
Stachler is a
that.
tribal member. She did all that artwork in there, and I know her personally. Maybe we could collab on something.
Well, and that would be
Either.
phenomenal.
And Patty Whereat.
They actually took local residents, and in the artwork they have pictures,
Yeah.
like.
Jesse's in there, Hope Lott's in there, Doug Barrett's in there. Yeah. And also Patty Whereat is our language specialist, and she's the one that does the interactive speaking, and I know her personally as well. So maybe we can figure something out to make this a little bit more for them.
That would be phenomenal.
Okay, I'll
It's-
see what I
This
can
is
do.
where the parent group's gonna take.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't even know who I was talking to, and they're like, oh, Janine Halverson, one of our parents, goes there. So I called it, and she came right down, and so got a parent perspective and just the wealth of information, and now I know even more.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
okay, cool.
exciting. There's also an artist space in the Gardner, right north of Freeport, the Gardner community. There's an old middle school building up on the hill that there are a couple of artists that have made this a maker space. And I'm working to see if they can work with us for our kids to do some sort of art project there. So we're gonna try to generate that. So that's our next big field trip. I don't think we're gonna get one every month, but we're gonna get a handful in, get out of the classrooms, and see what else out there. Woodford Creek, our kids go out there a couple of times in the next few weeks as well. Those are classroom field trips, not school-wide. And I think that's generally it, other than preschool promise.
Yes. All right. So some preschool updates last meeting about a month ago. Turns out that's how it works. We heard Abby, thank you for sharing, and generated some discussion around preschool. We met whole board. I've had a lot of conversations about preschool with many of you, sometimes in small groups and sometimes large, but wanted to acknowledge and give updates about steps that have been taken since last month. And so a couple updates. So with water, right, came an opportunity. Having our youngest students use the porta potties was going to add another layer of difficulty that we weren't ready for. And so instead we looked and said, well, what's the opportunity in this to do some invested staff time during those 4 days. So we actually canceled preschool for those 4 days coming back from the holiday, and in that gave time for support, planning, conversations, and that included with Courtney, and I'm going to forget her last name, but who's the Preschool Promise early learning specialist, connected with Quality Care Connections. So there's two main support people for us. One helps with the reporting and kind of system side of it, and one with teaching and learning in the classroom. And so Courtney came out for the 2 days, met with Amber, Natalie, Heidi, Brenda, and did some collaboration. And then the third day, so whatever day of the week that was, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the team went out and visited a Junction City, a Preschool Promise program in Junction City that is like the it was the territorial program, and then it's now housed at the high school there. And I think the power of Preschool Promise is the kind of mission and vision, countywide, statewide, is high quality preschool programming for all students, and that's our goal as well. That's been a shared commitment since well before Preschool Promise, and this gives a community of programs that are working towards meeting that vision and an opportunity to learn together. And so Junction City graciously welcomed us in, and that was Thursday. Amber and Brenda, anything to add about and then Friday provided time to take these conversations and keep planning and working moving forward. Anything either of you would like to add on that part?
Junction City had a phenomenal program. It's a model school.
3 more students than we did, 2 more staff than we did. I think that it was great to visit. She did a really good job of showing a different strategy to implement preschool in a big space. They kind of have it was like a old part of their school, like a old middle school or high school, I think. So the way they use their space, it was nice to get different perspective, to see materials in play, and just to learn a different way of maybe implementing the same program. So we have tried to, we're implementing a few of those things. I think we still have a long ways to go on some of the other pieces that decrease some of the challenges that we're experiencing right now.
So you mentioned they have 2 more staff members.
When we arrived, there, yes, they do. They have someone that is there the whole time between when just the kids are there, and then they have 2 full-time teachers that are there that have, I think it was 18 hours of prep a week for them. The challenge with preschool and preparation time is that there isn't like copies to be made and then you're prepped for the class. You're really making the materials with your hands each time and rotating them. So it does take, it's a different approach for prepping. So it was nice to have perspective when I felt overwhelmed that the teachers shared their schedule, and that there was some difference there for us, and that is wasn't for lack of experience or using time well in the classroom. It was for actual lack of time. But since that meeting, I did get Natalie in the classroom 45 minutes extra, so she's not writing the class. We found somebody else to do that part, so she'd be in the classroom with us to help clean and prep after the day. That's great.
And Sue had asked about transportation, and I had asked when we got there, and their transportation department takes care of there needs to be an assistant on the bus to make sure that the port harness is the law, obviously, since the little guys can't buckle themselves in or shouldn't be. I believe they had 3 paid staff members.
Yeah, they had another.
They had a high schooler that
student there that's there for 2 hours every morning. So.
And we have one student for about an hour a day?
Yeah, we have a student 1 hour a day later in the day, yeah.
So comparable, and I did hear Tyann, she's the teacher, I did hear her say that, and we talked about this, that it's built to this amazing program, but the behavior challenges were more last year, and I think that takes a little time to build those routines, and just some students are challenging. It was great. There's another program out by the U of O, Moss Street. We're not sure where Creek's, but other their streets, Moss Street, and we're looking to go visit it. And I don't know if it was mentioned, maybe I missed it, but the fence.
Yeah, it's on the next page. I'll get to that in a second.
I would like to give a segue to the next page.
And I have a question.
Yeah.
I still have a question about, I'm wondering how responsive we can be to the current situation. So it sounds like from all the conversations we've had, and it seems to me like we talk about preschool promise a lot, that right now, this year, we are in more of a crisis in trying to get this thing launched, and that we have more needy kids. So, maybe next year it wouldn't be so. We might have a different makeup, a different climate in the classroom. But this year, it sounds like we're not able to really get this thing running smoothly. Am I understanding that correctly?
Is it as smooth as we'd like? No. Is it getting better? I believe so. And I think that we start off with fewer staff members, so we've added that. And I know that Amber, when we talked about whether Natalie could stay for that extra hour, that's huge, not just for cleaning and prepping, but just that debriefing and conversation, because Natalie is all also amazing in the classroom and has great ideas. And I haven't checked in about that, but I'm hoping that collaboration has helped.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 2 days that she's not on the bus. She's in the classroom instead of riding the bus for that 45 minutes. And then the last 15 minutes of the day, she would be in our classroom. So the last 2 days have been great. She put some equipment together today, and we have been able to debrief in the last 2 days. Otherwise, it was just me at the end of the day. So that's been great. And Michelle, I think what you bring up about the class is one thing that Tyann did share with us is that last year she couldn't have had us in her classroom to observe because the behaviors were too difficult and it would be too much of a distraction. But this year, the student body is different and it's seamless. It appears to be, and it was okay to have us in there, and not just us, but there was another school visiting at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And there were 2 staff and our principal. So that was 4 extra people in the room and it didn't affect the kids at all. I mean, I didn't see one behavior that was inappropriate and needed correction. I mean, it went really well. So, but like she said, the year before it wouldn't have looked like, and I think that this year, we're having one of those years that JC had last year.
Mm-hmm.
So the last 3 years, we weren't having those kind of behaviors in our class. It's a different student body. They have different needs. And I keep hearing this theme reoccurring that schools are experiencing, early childhood programs, kindergarten, first and second, are experiencing really big behaviors. And we don't really know why. I mean, we possibly suspect the isolation that kids might have experienced at a really critical time in their development because of COVID. But we need to pivot and deal with that. And that's what I'm kind of pleading for, that kind of support in the classroom, because we've made it this far, but it's a huge struggle. It's major.
I just wonder how agile and responsive we can be in the moment. Like, we've got a program, but we all know that the makeup of who's in the room has a massive effect on our program.
That's what I was gonna ask, and we've heard, Natalie's changed, and then I hear Heidi's name, but I know we've talked before, like when we talked last month, and maybe you guys were looking at movement of staffing time and stuff. So is Heidi in there all day?
Yes,
Or-
so the 3
There's 2 people in the room from 11:30 to 2 p.m. I know that's a regular, consistent thing.
Okay.
And that is tough. That's food, and Heidi's also food service, so part of her time in there is not working with kids.
It's feeding them.
Plating food,
Okay.
taking dishes down, cleaning tables, preparing the space to eat, cleaning up after the space to eat.
Okay.
So
And-
she's not entirely, I mean, she is in there and she will drop everything she has to in an emergency situation to help, but she's not diffusing, escalating behavior and supporting positive social interactions and,
And what about before 11:30?
then that is the 3 of us in the room.
And she's in there.
She's in there, so 8:15 to 8:45, she's doing food service in our
Breakfast,
class,
yeah.
so,
And then she stays.
and so, yeah. then
And they leave at what time?
They leave at 2:45.
Okay.
The staffing's similar to Junction City in that the reason there's 2 is because everybody needs a lunch break, they need their 15-minute breaks, there's some real, time. And so that is part of it. We also learned when we were there, they were having a taco at Junction City. And Amber shared that sometimes when the food service gives the food to Heidi to take up to the preschool, there's a lot of, if it's a taco, they send the lettuce, the tomato, onion, and she's putting them together. And so we have purchased individual reusable 3-compartment lunch boxes, so that now the lunches are coming ready to much more.
That hasn't
Yeah.
been implemented yet, but we've talked about, that hasn't happened yet.
Okay, because
So we haven't experienced a change in food service yet.
So we should see that by next week.
Great.
Because that's something we talked about, and when we looked at Junction City, went, okay, this should happen in the lunchroom and be also have hired a 4-hour day food service person to help support so that it frees up some other time, and that person's gonna be able to help to make sure that maybe that's part of why it hasn't quite happened yet, that we'll have more time in the lunchroom to make that happen, and have a lunch person so that Heidi doesn't have to leave to go grab the food, have somebody bring it up and get the dishes, because that will even 10 minutes makes a difference.
And maybe that time will help ready the food more there, or, I mean, with those, okay. And that person hasn't started yet?
The new person starts tomorrow. I guess I could officially tell you who we hired. We hired Kirsten Kelly. And she is excited. So she's a graduate from Mapleton.
Yeah.
Positive energy, wanting to do some subbing. She's gonna be great. High energy, lots of positive energy for our students.
Cool.
One opportunity I had is to talk with Junction City director, not admin level. One clarification on the staff. I heard 5, but they do have 3 paid full day people. So our staff, my understanding in talking with them is our staffing levels at this time are now the same, and so I will follow up again. I was just trying to
So
find.
we have 3? You say they're the same. We have 3.
Each have 3, and I'm not sure. We can talk on.
Yeah, it
Follow
might have
up and
been
make
the
sure we're.
visiting or specialist.
That's what I
that
think is
they're-
there was another program visiting, and it could have been hard to tell who was staff and who was visiting. But
They have 2 that are like Natalie and Amber that are there early and then stay till the 4 o'clock, whatever. And then the third person's there, similar to Heidi, in that they're there just when the kids are there, because then we have other needs for Heidi after the kids.
Okay, but are they analogous student bodies? Are they the same?
So that's what I wanted to share is to the point of are we serving similar students? So that their program specifically has had a high number of foster kids over the course of their history, and most of their I'll use the word most. Majority of their slots for Preschool Promise have served foster youth, and not to over stereotype a population, but our foster families throughout Oregon often have higher needs, and so and it's territorial is more rural. We picked them because of location and reached out, but in terms of needs and one other thing. So last year they were working through many of these things, and like us, kept modifying and being responsive and trying different things. And I think in that this year, a different group of students may be part of the story, but also their learning over last year. I think they're seeing the dividends of that investment and that learning and those changes paying off. So I think we talk a lot about behavior is communication, especially for little ones who don't have as many skills in words. And I think to Amber's point just now, I think you said we need to pivot, and we are pivoting. So that investment, are we being responsive now? I believe so. That the visit was I think a week ago, and so I'll go to this next slide real quick. Some of the investments we've made. So one, the fence was came up in conversations as that outdoor area needing some more boundary to it to make sure that it wasn't negative interactions with staff having to create that boundary all of the time. And so that fence is now completed over winter break. And then Brenda and I, and actually Amber sent lots and lots of lists of materials that were
We didn't have them in our classroom, and when Preschool Promise came to visit, they asked where they were.
And in terms of, they kind of say, hey, here's some stations, centers that are typical in most of our programs, and here's a materials list from that. And so Amber went through that, sent that priority list over, and actually we purchased every item that you sent. I don't think I'm lying, except shelving. And we know that when you get a whole bunch of stuff coming in, we know we're going to invest in. We're going to need more storage and shelving, and at preschool level, that shelving can help break that room up and lower how do I say that? there are sensory needs of our students that that an open room and increased sound, kind of open, like lots of stimulus coming in, and that shelving can start to break up that space that better meets sensory needs. And so, Amber, I don't want to make up numbers, but you said how many shelves did you
They have
notice?
16 shelves in their classroom, we have 6.
Yeah, and that shelving isn't cheap, and
Right.
we're investing. We're going through right now trying to find it. We have that list, and we're Lane Education Foundation as their open grant, and I say submitted. It might be submitting. It's written.
We haven't
and we're-
received it yet, I'm on that committee.
Okay, so it's coming.
It's on my desk.
All right, Nora, we need shelving. You know, we wrote it for 2,000, but if you want to give us even more, we won't tell anybody. And then I skipped something. Oh, the Second Steps curriculum is for social skills development and practice. That was a conversation with I think with Amber and team and Janet Jackson. About the current curriculum they were using, the Harmony, isn't as accessible for our youngest students, and so this was a recommended curriculum in those conversations, and we purchased that.
Yes.
Do we have it?
We have it, Janet used it today for kindergarten, did she use it for preschool? I thought she was going to, but,
She has preschool on Fridays since we didn't have school Mondays.
okay, so
Gotcha.
she'll be using
She
it this
probably
week.
will.
She used it for elementary, not the early learning that this, curriculum is, but the Second Steps for the little bit older kids in California. She loved it. We used to use it. What I like is they've got great, beautiful, shiny pictures of showing emotions and different things, and it's scripted on the back so that it's pretty easy to implement, but it really does kind of teach social emotional learning skills, so it's good.
And then we continue to explore additional ideas to support transitions. There was like conversations about multiple sinks or more stalls, those kind of things. We have limitations in that space, but we're working on creative solutions. A need for more storage. I think I don't remember who told me this story, but they went down and looked in the closet. Were you telling me that the
I was
closet?
drooling, but yeah.
Yeah, the storage space, like for the themed units of their curriculum, like has tons of storage, and we're working on creative solutions to that, and then to continue to look at creative use of space in that building. We're plotting and planning. We'll see where we land.
Can I say something?
Please.
So when you say that the school in Junction City
Yeah.
is experiencing a better behavior and better blah 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 because of last year, as a parent, this is just me, that makes me feel like, okay, well now my kid is a guinea pig, and last year went really well with Vance, and he's excelling, like he's just above and beyond, I think. And have we visited the idea of like preschool promise? Great, we tried it, but now why do we have to have it?
So, I guess.
Can I pitch in on that? Money. I mean, if we don't have it, we don't have any funding for preschool.
How was the preschool running last year and the year before?
Grant funding.
So we can't get those grants again, or?
And just the background, 3-year grant implementation with all those grant funds ended last year, and preschool was not written into this year's budget, and so general fund, it's gonna come out of our general fund dollars, which we can do, but that, we're not gonna be able to sustain preschool, especially like legislative, if anybody's paying attention to budget and governor budgets and all those things, the projection, it's not increased budget, like there's a potential for cuts in the next 1.5 to 2 years, and so we do need a sustainable plan and funding, and this provides that. The other thing I'd like to say, this group of students would be here, the majority of them would be here whether we were preschool promised or not this year, and so
I think there's a couple that, and I don't know how to say it PC, I'm sorry, I'm not, I think that having a funding like this brings in kids that aren't always disciplined at home and they have issues, and this just was not an issue last year. I'm just like, it seems like it's such an issue now. It's like, why fix something that wasn't broken? I get the funding, but it's like, good God, sure for Natalie, like I just, and for, as a parent, I'm just like, okay, this is all great, we're gonna visit schools and we're gonna, and it's sort of, to me, it sounds not comparable. It's like this school is doing really well and they have like really well behaved kids, which might be the effects of whatever their, you know, interventions are from last year, okay. But it's like, we're not Junction City, you know, it's like, we just, I don't know,
And I will say, we are Mapleton, and if those students are in preschool, they're in kindergarten, and we do have increased behaviors in kindergarten this year as well, and some of them are from students that did not go to preschool. And so if we don't intervene early and we don't create the conditions for success early, those families are our families. And so like we have to, and to our mission statement, serve all students, and we can do it. I know we can do it. I know we can be that group that's sitting here next year and 2 programs came and visited us and are like, sorry, I swear sometimes, but like, damn, you guys went from here to here and we're honest about the story of development, and we meet the needs of our students. And we do have 2 students from Walton. There are a few students from Lawrence, but I will say our highest behavior kids are Mapleton students who we are going to serve.
don't think so. I don't think I agree.
I mean, I'm just, my question, which I don't think got answered, is how do we meet the needs of this particular group of kids? It appears to me like they need extra help. And in order to get to this place that we hope to get to, and I believe we can, I just think you can't deny the difficulty of a lot of kids with a lot of needs. And yeah, another body in the classroom intervening so that things don't escalate. It seems like that's the most responsive way to deal with the problem.
Well, and I think that since this year and switching over to this seems like a bit of a learning curve that we're trying to wrap our heads and hands around and master, and they obviously did it. Hopefully that can be our success story next year or the following year, that, you know, everyone feels a little more sure on their feet about what's happening in their everyday. But is there, I mean, maybe the main question is there any type of funding to have someone that helps out while we're learning this stuff, while they're trying to, you know, have another permanent body in there while she's trying to master this program here and what we have to do under Preschool Promise just to alleviate that classroom or student stress of, and so I don't know if that's a question to be asked or.
Jaren and I ran numbers. We're at 101% of, it's close, it's between 100 and 101% of our budgeted staffing for this school year. So we're going, right, we're at that level. I think we have creatively added things to increase staffing. And I like, how many days have we been back? How many days has preschool been back? I'm off a week. Is this
a week and a half? This is the second week,
this is
right?
like day 6.
2 days. We didn't have kids last week, so we didn't have one.
Last week is the week without kids.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I've lost track.
So
So we're on day 2, and like we were talking, like that $2,500 of materials are literally starting to show up at the door. And I think yes, staffing is one piece of it, but
Higher
environment,
engagement materials.
and
Amber and I talked
structured
about that
environment.
sheet, right, like outdoors or some concerns and stuff, and so we purchased quite a few things for outdoors to make it so there's more engaging material to work with, and then same with inside.
And that other resource of Courtney from Preschool Promise, like I think is a resource to keep leaning into, and having that. And what I want to say, like, one of the things that is hard is when you create systems with more staffing and then pulling that staffing out, you might be creating it to always have more staffing, and that's something we see across all education. And I'm not saying I'm opposed to continue exploring that, but I think we need to give a few days and implement the things that we've heard and allow us to be responsive and see where there's improvement and see where there's still need and be responsive to that. And sometimes we need a little bit of time. And so I don't know, I ask that we continue to, like, this is a main priority, and it's not going to change overnight in 2 days, right? Or overnight, however you say that. And so, like, we've made that investment of in many different areas. We did some learning. I think there's some key points, both from Junction City that we saw and experienced, and from conversations with Courtney that are like, hey, here's some places to start and lean in. And then we do those things and we say, now what's the response to that? So, yes, maybe on staffing, but often in education, the investment in routine and environment goes just as far as staffing and can be sustained long term, even when budgets go up and down. So.
I just want to add, this is going back, but because I was part of getting the funding initially for the initial preschool, I just want to make sure that it's clear that we obtain funding, grant funding, but grantors don't want to continue to fund the same program all the time. They want you to do the program and say, here's how we'll sustain it. And when we wrote those grants, we said we will sustain it, we will find sustaining funding, and we will look towards Preschool Promise. And we had discussions with Preschool Promise at that time and everything too. So that's that is the part of the funding history for the preschool. But and that's how, that is how it is playing out this time.
Can Lane ESD send someone for these certain kids at least a bit, or one-on-one time for them, because
Yes, I think we should.
It's the funding, it's still a funding issue, it's a personal issue.
We do have a little bit of extra support from the kids in our class that have the high needs. They have specialists that have been assigned to them, not through us, but through the early intervention program,
EC cares.
early childhood cares. Yeah. So, we have a behavior specialist that came yesterday, occupational therapist that came the day before, and a speech pathologist that comes once a week for 20 minutes per child of service in the class. I will say that when the behavior specialist left, and she was supposed to be there for 20 minutes, she stayed the entire day. And she said, yeah, you need help in here. And she not just stayed with the one child she was there to service, but she helped a lot of other children in the class too. So I think materials are great, but I've never felt that we were lacking materials. Preschool Promise has an exceptional amount of materials needed for a classroom, I think, and I think it's wonderful that we have them. But I don't feel like that's going to solve behavior. These are fundamental issues that need support around just saying the words. Instead of scratching and biting and hitting, you're going to say, I'm mad. And it takes an adult to teach a child that. The toys aren't going to teach the kids that. They offer all the fine motor, the planning, the neurons connecting in the brains right now, but what kids really learn from is eye-to-eye, face-to-face conversations and contact over the materials and over the interactions with their peers. There just isn't enough adult bodies doing that in our classroom. So it's a struggle. And sometimes what I'm seeing occurring is we're getting a ripple effect of the kids who are ready to learn those things, but they might not be getting it quick enough. And so they're picking up on some behaviors from the kids who have a disability and need extra support for that. And that is really hard for me, and that's because it feels like failure because there's not enough arms and mouths of adult people in my classroom to say, hey, these kids are doing fine, they're having some normal squabbles amongst young children that just need a little coaching. They don't need like a full intervention, they just need some coaching and they'll be fine. Where the kids that are high flyers in our class for behaviors, they really do need someone nearby all the time because kids are getting hurt in our class. I mean, it isn't just a tantrum. Like, tantrums are normal, I expect them. Like, there's injuries that are happening in our classroom. And I don't think it's a long-term solution. I think it's a short-term solution for a short group. And when we front load and add that hard and what they need right away, then the payoff is there. I don't think it can be done with the distraction of more things in the classroom. But I'm willing to try, and I'm gonna do my best. And I'm open to those kind of environmental suggestions. When I do have problems in the classroom, I do often here's the evaluation. What's wrong with this environment? These kids wanna do this instead of play. Kids in my class haven't come to school knowing how to play. It's a change. It's a change in our environment because of, in my personal opinion, because of the experiences that our modern society has with kids. So a lot of kids need to learn how to play in our classroom. So it creates some conflict, and they're learning to play in there. But the increase of materials outside to play with is definitely. I brought 15 gallons of sand from the beach this week, and we have had the best outdoor play time. I brought an old Rock Creek donated a sandbox that so we had a great time in the sand this week, and I made a lot of distractions. So being resourceful and having more materials like that. I mean, there was a lot of and a staff member sat by the sand the whole time because they needed that kind of coaching. So I mean, we're doing the best we can, and we're going to keep trying. And but I think it's deeper than not being engaged in the environment. And it was hard for me to see that until I got the feedback from the specialist from UC Cares. And those kids, the kids that are having the services in our class, we're not going to get them weekly. That was an observation to give to start to help with some kind of a plan and support.
So we do have to move on in our agenda. It's clear, and I think we're committed to making this work. We don't have the solutions in place yet, and like you said, it's going to take time. I think some of us feel like an extra body in the classroom is crucial, required, and so we're going to keep talking about this, and you're going to keep us informed. And Amber, you're an amazing asset to this school, and we are so grateful to you. And we really want we want you to be successful. We want you to enjoy your work. Mm-hmm. So we got your back, and we're just going to keep talking about it and moving forward. Not just talking. We're going to take concrete action.
Yep. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So next, are you?
We're good there.
Okay.
If you want to keep. Yeah.
Are we good with your entire presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Reports. Yep.
Thanks for showing up, good people, and drive safely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Okay, so, and we don't have a student representative right now.
No.
Okay.
They were planning the event tonight.
Right. So, finance tech maintenance report. That's you, Jaren.
We're working on getting that, figuring out that light at the front.
You can go home too if you want, Amber. You don't have to stick around.
We had a break-in at the bus barn, wherever it is from here. Siphoned off some gas. We had some video of it. I put some video cameras in over spring break over there. For
Christmas.
And so we had some video of it, but too far away to really see a whole lot. And some of them, let's see. Continuing to put cameras in, we'll get some.
Was it just gas that was taken?
Diesel out of the two mini buses.
Okay.
Stuff, so. fencing behind that is just kind of like, you could crawl across the fencing and onto the shipping container. And so we might look at replacing some of that fencing, or shoring it up. The ground is just kind of eroding. You can see the concrete that is at the bottom of it and sticks over. And talked to Randy about, maybe doing the locking gas caps, but he said, he's thought about that, but then you might end up having someone tap the gas tank or cut the hose going up to the gas cap, and he said, I'd prefer somebody siphon off 30 gallons than have to spend a couple $100 on repairs on the vehicle. So I was like, yeah, it's understandable. And with the more cameras, and if it's happening, I'll be able to see a little better. So for finance, we had payment to the Hungerfords. That's for the FDAB. Hopefully we get a decision on that sometime. Officials, expensive, I don't know where that's, well, I guess we're having games here now again, so I suppose that'll stay the same. $2,000 for the basketball tournament on Brandon. Umpqua Valley Fire Service came out, did some work on their sprinkler system. Those were kind of the big.
What was the price tag on the Hungerfords?
$1,400 for the most recent payment.
Oh.
So,
And we're still waiting for
I know.
decision.
it's not the hunger, it's
Yeah.
everybody
I
else's
know.
pay, yeah.
That's
So,
in trade, crazy.
Yeah, waiting on that. Kind of big payment to Terry Johnston. She buying stuff for the carrying closet, whatever the carrying closet's called. And so that's, Salty's Corner, so whatever. But yeah, that's coming out of our homeless grant, so that covers that. And tech-wise, I had a few power outages over Christmas break, but I don't think there were any real issues with it, so just continuing on.
Anybody got more questions for Jerry?
No, anything big upcoming that you see?
Okay, what?
Anything upcoming that you see, like finance wise?
Budget
Okay.
coming, negotiations, so we'll see where the state ends up, where we end up. One advantage right now is interest rates are pretty good, so we're seeing some decent interest on our savings account. But that'll be, go towards the new bus that we're getting. We just got a new mower, it's expenses it'll be on next month. Cost as much as a nice car.
Yeah, we got a lot to mow.
But, and we'll probably need to think about replacing some Chromebooks before long, but that's not too much money.
Right.
We can get some E-rate money and figure out if we're gonna need to replace the access points for the Wi-Fi sometime, that we can E-rate that there.
That's not super soon, is it?
Not what?
That's not like, when Mises says that there are things that coming up, is that like something coming up?
Not this year,
Yeah.
I mean, in the next few years, stuff, but
Okay,
On the horizon.
cool, thank you. Okay, let's go to our consent agenda. The payroll check register, accounts payable check register, and prior month's minutes. Any questions or discussions, or can I entertain a motion?
I move we can approve the consent agenda 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3.
Second. Yeah.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, thanks so much. Okay, action items, personnel, resignation of Susan Fenton and Tina Johnson.
And I didn't catch this earlier, but we actually just got one officially this morning. We just had it here. Or does it need to wait till next month? But then we won't forget next month. But Danita Logan submitted her
Okay.
retirement officially this morning. And then we mentioned the hiring. They're starting tomorrow, so they weren't on this list. Can we put it here, or do we have to wait till next month?
Yeah.
Let's do it. So
Board's all right with throwing.
Well, I
Yeah,
guess,
can
And
we-
that's
actually-
kind of
Bring
a
it.
formality that's important.
Yeah, let's bring
Actually,
it.
there's two.
Thank you, sorry.
I mean, I think we would prefer to take care of business while we're here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so
Let's do
Kirsten Kelly, for hiring for the 4-hour food
Oh,
service
right.
position
And
as
then
well.
also Elena Johnston as a driver driving the student to Eugene. And she was hired over break.
Okay. Well, with our edited, amended 8.1, can I get a motion from somebody here?
I move to approve the personnel changes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hands. Unanimous, thanks so much. Okay.
Just a clarifying question, Susan and Tina, that's their end of this year?
Yeah, all of those.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got that from Denise, okay.
And we've got the ESD plan of service here, 8.2.
Yeah, did you guys receive a copy of that, or did we?
Yeah, they sent
No,
it-
but
they
Sharon
sent it to
emailed
me.
something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just
Emailed.
emailed
I
it to
just
me
saw
just
that.
barely. It's 41 pages. They sent it to me about 4 o'clock. Said they were gonna bring paper copies for you guys.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
referred
you
to a
know-
page and I was like,
Yeah.
we don't have that page.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were expecting that it came earlier, so I'll give that feedback. It might make sense to move this one to
Right.
next month
Mhm.
so that
Sure.
people can
Exactly.
actually look at it and
Have
know
Yes.
what
had a
they're
chance to read it,
approving.
so.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's not a
Yes.
lot of changes from last year, but
Right.
I think it's
No, I think we should do that.
due diligence to actually
Okay.
look at it.
Yep. All right, board guiding beliefs and value statement. Do we have a copy of that here?
I have my notes from our meeting, but I don't think we have.
I mean, we might have to move that to next month as well, if we don't,
Just
we
to
need a.
approve it.
We don't have like a, yeah.
Yeah,
like a-
we talked about it, we all know what's in there, but I think we
Right.
should,
Mm-hmm.
And we
Good.
also talked about
It's in the
not
Google
needing
Drive.
to approve it, so like it wouldn't need to be an action item, it's just a
Right.
discussion item.
that's right.
So
It
next-
actually, yes, it is, it's not an action
Yeah.
item.
Right.
So
So-
let's throw it back down into discussion items for next month. Okay. Discussion items, Mapleton Pool Building.
So confirmation that 500,000 was sent back to the state by the Salem Regional Aquatic Center. So
It's not available, there's nothing.
it's not it wasn't available and it's still not available.
Right.
So yeah, and then just opportunities to give input. We'll continue to include that in all sorts of engagement events moving forward. So,
Were they in this, were they represented here in this gathering?
I don't think they're an
They're
entity.
not
No,
a thing.
Yeah,
the
I think they
SRC
voted
as
to-
an entity dissolved.
Yeah.
Oh,
But what Sue was talking about, I think, was that it, in the hallway there's like a, give input for how to potentially use stuff on
Okay.
campus, and that's one of the things.
Yeah.
And so,
And a pool, of course,
is on there.
part of that list, but there's been like some sometimes it's just like a funny comment made somewhere that then somebody else goes, oh, and like I've seen discussions on Facebook that something about laser tag, and so that's on the list out
Wow.
there, but I
And
just
back
think
to that
like
rec center
it's kind of
thing.
fun to dream about that space, and of course there's a big interest in large legacy and all those things for the pool, and the pool may not be a reality, and we've talked about that a and so what else might be a reality. So
Mhm,
that
cool.
list is growing and generating, and at some point something will be a reality, and first we have to figure out how to keep that building standing. So
When did the track disband? Was that?
In the last, I don't know when the official date is, but
Should've
they,
been the last month or
2 months
right?
maybe, yeah.
Okay.
After, yeah.
All right, thanks. All right, community engagement and committee
and
updates.
I just wanted to officially read these dates out loud, and I apologize, my phone disappeared from where I was looking. Anyway, we have a number of there it is. Okay. A number of engagement events coming up, starting with tonight, the PTO Booster Club meeting on the 20th. I just had this open, sorry. There we go. January 30th, which is a Monday, family discussions around the portrait of the graduate engagement, especially focusing on our youngest families. February 9th is the senior basketball last home game senior night, and we're also so girls at 5:30, boys at 7 p.m. and we're also showcasing student work across across elementary, middle school, and high school, and will be on display for like a comeback of the Sforza affair, and I always say affair. I can't say that word.
Where are they doing that at?
Sforza
Out of the gym?
fair.
Like,
In the area around the gym, so similar to tonight, where the games will have
Like
games
the
will be
hallway
all night,
commons
and
or
then
something,
yeah,
or-
we'll have student work on display throughout the.
So that's on the
school
9th,
there.
all of that?
Yes.
And it starts at 5:30?
The
first
first
game is at 5:30.
Yeah. Yep. And I believe all that showcase also starts at 5:30. It might be slightly earlier than that. I don't know. Come at 5:30. Yep. So.
I have a question. If they're, and sorry not to interrupt your dates, but if the Sephora's Affair type thing is happening then, and you're having other community there, they're not gonna charge people that night, are they?
Good question.
Yeah. I mean, cause I would think that's gonna be hard to
Yeah.
distinguish.
I think it'd be really awesome to invite everybody and just make it
Maybe for
And the
senior night,
games-
have it be a free night.
And the games are free that night.
Yeah.
I mean, just cause I think that's gonna be
Except
hard
for
to
the other team. No, I'm kidding.
it'll be hard to distinguish,
Yeah.
and if you're wanting them to come see all that work,
Yeah. I think
normally
that's
it's just like a
something
free
we talked
event in
about
the
this
gym,
week.
but
Yeah.
like if we have to do it like that in conjunction, then I feel like we don't wanna
That's a
hinder
good
people
point.
coming.
That's a great point,
so.
yeah. Good thinking, yep.
Yep, good
Thank
idea.
you for saying that.
Was there anything after the 9th?
Not that
Okay.
has an actual date yet. Yeah. Do you want me to just keep running through the? Oh, well, state testing. We're working on. We have to put a plan together, so we're putting out I think that might have gone out by email today or this week, just to get feedback from teaching staff on schedules and all those things for state testing. Anything you want to add, Michelle?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
Of course. Yes, I'm still of the opinion and of the growing opinion nationwide that state testing is a dinosaur and we will be watching its demise. But also in the time before that occurs, my comrades in this pursuit are putting together a PowerPoint and presentations, and we've been invited by a number of school districts to present, and I would love to have Mapleton be one of the districts that gets a presentation. It's not ready to roll yet. We're working on it because we had a 90-minute presentation. We were trying to make
You don't
1
want a
minute.
90
You don't want the 90
I'm
minute?
just
It was
joking.
fascinating.
Popcorn and
I'm actually joking, I
Really?
love the whole
Some
thing.
India board meeting.
So brilliant.
Depends on what the incentive is, yeah.
Yeah.
I can be persuaded to sit
That's
for
right.
90 minutes.
Eat us.
To connect that real quick, I just and Michelle and I talked about this a lot, but that January 30th date, I would invite you all to come be part of that graduate profile conversation.
Yeah.
Profile, portrait, they're
Sure.
similar. Because I think part of that is laying that out, and when we talk sports affair, that's a right, authentic demonstration of learning that all those pieces can come together towards a development of a student portfolio, student-based conferencing, demonstration, like, what's the word I want? Like a defense in transitions of here's the things I learned and demonstrated that are aligned to these things. And when that's in place, two things are true. Two things. We don't need state testing to tell us if they're learning or not. We can point to the work and say, check out the cool stuff that our students are demonstrating. And second, it turns out when you do all that, the tests become easier and the test scores actually do go up. And what I don't, like, that's not what my focus, the student learning is. And usually those go hand in hand. So
What's the location and time?
January 30th, did I say the time? Sorry. 5:30 to 6:30. And either the multi-purpose room or a classroom over there, depending on how
But it'll be at the elementary.
At the elementary, yes.
5:30 you said?
5:30. Yep.
Hopefully, it sounds like some of you'll be there. I
I won't.
You
I
won't?
can't.
Okay, I can't either.
You probably have game night,
Basketball,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, rehearsal, so.
I think mine only has practice, so
And-
maybe I can.
And we'll have other conversations
Yeah, it's an
about that, but I
Yeah.
think that'll give a
Yeah, maybe Jessica
kind of,
can come.
I see that process as closely aligned to state testing, even though it feels
No, it's-
disconnected
it
with
is.
so many people until it gets there, so.
Yeah, well, thanks. I mean, just you saying it makes, it validates my stance, so I
No, it's
appreciate
true.
it.
Everything you say and the opposition of it just made sense right there. so.
Totally. Fantastic, okay.
Travel shared history, I just wanna acknowledge
Could I-
what, oh, sorry, jump in.
Just back to state testing, is there I remember last year we got I felt like we got crunched for time. Is there a call to action that you would hope the board is gonna take this year that we need to be cognizant of now? Because there's a certain point where
Yeah, we
Sue's
get
gonna be
past the
pushed up
dates,
against
yeah.
dates and have to start communicating, and if there's an action that we need to take before those dates, I guess we need to start thinking backwards and when that is.
I mean, there's always an action to be taken. You know, if this board decided that state testing, agreed with me and thought that we should bring the fight, you know, to say, really, you're going to withhold funds from Mapleton School District? Bring it, let's see what that looks like. And what I've said all along is, that's what I'd like to do, and then I'd like it, and if they actually did, which 99% sure they would not, but if they did, we could do the testing. We could go there. You know, we're not, if they said, yep, we're gonna cut you off, then we'd say we're testing our kids, and that would be that. But if we do nothing and we just continue the status quo, we're just putting off, taking care of our kids, in my estimation. So yeah, if this board wants to say we're not gonna test, or if we say parents have to opt in, that's basically what our stance was. Parents have to opt in. We will test your kids, absolutely, but Mapleton School District is not testing kids as the standard bearer of how we manage this.
So to Mary Ellen's point, like what's that date, what's that meeting that would have to happen by in order for
Do you have like a time you have to turn your plan in?
So I don't know about the plan, cause Joy's doing it, but we typically start testing in April, like towards the end, so is there a plan that's due this year?
I don't think there's we just have to have
You just
We
do
do
it
local
because
scheduling
you
and
know.
having
Yeah.
a plan
Joy and I
in
are
place
meeting
for this.
Tuesday to talk about
And we need
elementary
to
plan,
communicate to parents
timing.
either way.
Exactly. I
through
mean,
that
sooner the
process,
better.
So, yeah.
You probably won't communicate to parents till like March.
Yeah.
And once they opt out, if they choose, depending on if it's opt out or opt in, is the timeline, but, if it's done before April, whatever this district decides, that's fine.
I would encourage the February meeting
Yep.
to have,
Yeah,
to
that's what I was
make a
thinking.
decision and to know, like, do we need to come back in March and talk about this or do something else? Like, I think it needs to be on
I mean, we are an opt-out district, that's a state law.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that, that's not.
Well, that's what we went back into, right, last year, like the year before
Right.
we did opt-in, and then last
Mhm.
year we did the opt-out.
So we can put it on the agenda and I will, I will ask for a vote and we'll see where we go. If you want more information, I can send it to you. If you are starting to lean in this direction, great. If you're not, I'm not going anywhere and I'm not gonna stop advocating for the end of standardized testing in Mapleton.
And since you brought up funding, that triggered my thoughts on a couple things that I should have mentioned in the finance section. The funding basis, we're not getting any funding right now from the state now because we haven't got our audit in, and so we didn't receive our state scope on payment this month until that gets in, and so just waiting on the auditors. And looking at auditors, I took Mary Ellen's advice, didn't tell Holly Shore about about it, and sent it out to 65 emails off the list and received 10 saying we've got enough business right now, we don't need any more, and didn't hear from anyone else.
Dang it.
And so we're sticking with Holly for the time being. I was going to email out to some of the out-of-state ones because I didn't email any of them and stuff. But they sent an extension request to the Secretary of State, and the Secretary of State approved it because you have to have your audit into the Secretary of State and you have to have it into ODE.
Mhm.
ODE didn't approve any extensions for it. So they'll make up the payments once we get our audit in, but we're not getting any from them right now.
Nice. Okay.
My guess is the I'm gonna throw this out there, but my guess is the non-approval and going that route is there's increased pressure legislatively about transparency and like return on investment for the funding in education, and so there's quite a few bills about like more reports connected to finances and that kind of stuff, and so I think if ODE says, oh yeah, take your time for an audit, it's gonna encourage even more reporting, and if anybody reaches out to you for your opinion on more reporting connected to please, on behalf of every administrator trying to do work instead of reports, please tell them that's not necessary,
That's
and
not
all
helpful.
of this is public record and there's public processes, and
Right.
We want to demonstrate the return on investment in education, and we believe that we can do that, but not through another ODE report.
Yeah, that was part of the additional cost of the audit this year was the student investment account. ODE wanted them to do particular auditing of it, and so that increased our audit cost 10% or so.
Anyone that wants it, there's still burgers in the warmer. Thank you all for coming and supporting.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thanks,
Thank
Vanessa.
you.
Have a good
Can
night.
we approve buying a new grill? Just saying.
Hey, Michelle, while we're off topic, can I ride home? Are you going to Deadwood?
Excuse me?
Can I ride home with you?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I noticed that when I saw that, I was like,
Of course.
uh-oh.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna make a proposal that, at the February meeting, we're going to have our, PowerPoint and our presentation. We'll do it here first, here in Mapleton, and
I like that.
we will vote that night whether to
Okay.
pursue
I like it.
testing. All right, cool.
Yeah, great.
Well, now I gotta kick my own butt.
Get to work.
I'm excited for it though.
Board goals like connected to the vision or guiding beliefs and value statement up above. Are we moving that to next?
Yeah.
Those are all
Yep,
It's like
interconnected.
all
Yeah.
over the
At
place.
some point, we did say we want to take action on one part of that and not the other, and without looking at it, I can't remember which part that
Nor
was.
I don't recall.
I didn't think,
I thought
But
we
we
had the
just wanted
conversation
to-
that
we wanted
that
a way to
Said
make
that
them.
you were
Yeah.
going to take action
there was something.
on the guiding statements just to make it more
Oh, that's right,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. All right, great.
Exactly.
There was no requirement to do so, but
Yes.
taking action and making
That's
sure.
what it
That's
was.
what
We just
Great,
wanted,
thanks,
yes.
Sharon.
That's why it's in bold
Okay.
spots,
He's
but
like
Jaren's
without
at
it
the
there.
meetings and silent.
We'll
Yeah,
make
she's
sure,
there.
But he's listening.
We're gonna keep him around.
I mean.
we'll make sure it's in the board packet next
Yeah.
time, so it's there. And
Yeah.
He just puts it in
That's-
front of
that
our
would be
face
great.
multiple times,
I
we
mean,
have to do it.
yes.
Okay, cool, perfect.
Evaluation, I think that's, you get, just the sharing to the public,
Right.
Yep.
that you all
That's what that was.
did your work. Do you wanna share
Exactly.
anything?
Yeah, we have agreed upon a
Evaluation
vehicle
rubric.
for our superintendent evaluation, which has to take place by, I think, I may be remembering this wrong, but I thought it was January. Is that, am I
No.
wrong?
Objectively evaluate the superintendent's performance and provide appropriate feedback in February.
Yeah.
February, okay,
Participate in annual self-assessment of board's performance June. That's separate, so February.
okay, February. So we need the document so that we can all have it, so that we can front load this and do our own personal work, and then we have to meet, discuss this.
We need a separate meeting for that, right?
Yeah.
That's a separate meeting.
So the document,
We're working off of that one. I don't
so
know.
I don't think there was there change, because that, all I have of the document is PDF, so.
Of this one.
Mm-hmm, and it's on our it's on the shared Google
Yeah.
Drive.
Mhm.
Was there, and I don't, in the end, did we make any changes to the statements? If so, someone, I mean, I don't know.
It's just
How are
it's
we-
just
I'm
the
not
all students. We need to definitely change the all students wherever it says that. And then I think we decided not to.
Providing a definition of those
Yeah,
words, but
we
keeping
Right.
the language.
And then we were
Yeah,
doing
the
that
language
last
same,
week.
the same.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We just need a clean version.
So how are we
Um,
gonna get that?
If you have it.
I
I can, well,
Those three
Yeah,
would make
if it's a
changes,
PDF, if you
right?
get it to me like that.
I mean, that's.
Oh, he has the notes.
that's
Okay,
his
perfect.
version.
Yeah, I do too.
And did you guys hear that? He has the software that'll turn that into Word. Did you hear that? Oh,
Perfect.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lizzie said she does too.
I do
so
too.
Okay, either way.
both
We need it.
So just as long as we get it.
Thanks, I shouldn't have, why'd I open it?
Yeah. Less is more.
And I do think I skipped over one when we went back to testing, but just I want to acknowledge what Mary shared about connections to the Umpqua Discovery Center and opportunities to connect there, and I think follow up and dig into that. So
Email me.
Awesome.
Oh, so just really quick, I'm so sorry, going right back to the superintendent evaluation, so that is gonna be adjusted and that glossary added and sent to us by when, so that we can plan a meeting? When is that gonna get to us?
What's today? The 18th?
Yeah.
It's like the end of the month soon enough, or?
It would be if we, and then say we have like a week to do our own like input, like the individual
what I-
input, and then we meet to do the collective.
That's what I was gonna say, we
Okay.
probably should make a meeting, right? And then maybe
Mhm.
that would backdate when we need
Yeah.
it by.
That's a good idea.
Mhm.
Actually, let's propose some dates in February. that
Well, we
work.
meet on the 15th.
Okay. February 15th, board meeting. I mean,
I don't know about Mizu's nights, but otherwise Tuesdays and Thursdays. Evenings aren't good, but I don't know if we could do a daytime, I guess, right?
It would probably need to be daytime, my evenings are pretty full with rehearsal schedules, so I can't do very many evenings.
Let's see.
that Thursday at one slot seems to work well.
I know, it kinda
Mhm.
does.
Yeah.
Thursday at 1, like the 23rd.
No, I think we
No.
need to do it
Before
before the
the
meeting,
meeting.
right?
Yeah.
So
So, like-
2 or 2nd or 9th?
Yeah, 9th?
The 9th is busy here. I mean, we could be here all day, because that's
Oh.
That's the
the
senior
Sephora's
night.
affair and yeah.
What about Friday afternoon? I know we usually do Thursdays 'cause that works, but like, just curious if Friday afternoons are open.
Fridays are fine for me.
Do Fridays work for you? Like morning or afternoon? or is it
Mostly.
pretty-
Yeah, we can go.
Like the 10th?
Yeah.
Are we zooming this or meeting?
Zooming would be
Zooming would be
I would say
great.
Zooming.
Okay.
Okay, so what, like, 1 o'clock on Friday the,
Oh,
no.
I'm sorry. That's the middle school B tournament.
Oh, that is
and,
the
and we're
tournament.
hosting
Okay.
it here, and so
Okay.
that is
Okay.
not
No,
good
that
for me.
works.
Can you Zoom on the 9th? Or not really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be down here later, so yeah, the 9th.
But you can Zoom earlier at home?
Yep.
Okay.
So
Does
like
1
that-
o'clock
that
on
1
the
o'clock.
9th, Thursday work for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, May, just getting back from Hawaii.
No.
I am
Really?
leaving a week late.
For Hawaii too?
And a half, yeah.
Hey there.
Oh my gosh.
Did you guys both
I'm
just
not.
say you're zooming from Hawaii?
No, I'm.
That
That's
would
gonna
be
be
fun.
that'd be amazing. Just
I was
Andrea and I on a
Let's do it.
beach.
Boo.
No, I'll just be
No, they're
getting
like-
back from Hawaii.
Oh, that's way better.
Yeah, so I'll be hopefully refreshed. and ready to
Okay, so let's
be
see,
back
that's,
to Oregon.
superintendent.
Superintendent.
I just want you to know that I could have made the board meeting, but I didn't wanna rub it in your face, so I didn't Zoom.
Oh, how
in.
nice of you.
But I'm sitting there in a tank top and you all have sweaters on, so, let's see.
Can I ask a clarifying question for that meeting?
Yeah.
Do I go to that? Or do you all meet first without me?
No, I
Yeah.
think we
We meet
meet
first
without
without
you.
you.
Okay.
Yep.
So I don't
Executive
have it on my-
session, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll make sure probably has to be still or.
It's still-
Anyway,
yeah.
we'll do those things, but.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's
Right,
an
but
official
it's
meeting.
tournament,
But
yeah.
it's just,
It's an it is an executive session.
right, it's
Yep.
an executive session.
Is that tournament only on Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so we have a date, February 9th at 1 o'clock, that's a Zoom meeting, and we will be receiving
yes.
our cleaned copies from music,
Or Jaren.
or Jaren, or someone, okay.
Well, like hot potato.
Yeah.
Any other public comment? Can we move to that? Nada from either of you? Public?
I just strongly encourage to figure the preschool thing out.
Yeah, man, we're
because
working on it, girl.
Yeah, it's not fair to parents that quite honestly have kids that don't have behaviors in there. And we just want our kids to go there and, like Amber said, learn how to talk to each other, learn how to play with each other. But when they're learning how to literally defend themselves against ones that are physical, it's, I mean, yeah, it's sad.
Yeah,
So
it's an
not
unusual
fair.
class, for
It
sure.
is, and I think that, yeah, I'm thank you for saying, like, what are we doing now? Yes, what are we gonna do, you know, here and there, but like the now, right now, because, God, I just think you could lose really solid parents and kids that, you know, I think that could be a possibility, and I don't want that, like, I want Willa and Josie eventually to be surrounded with great families and great kids, and all, you know, all kids are great, that's, you know, it's not their fault, so. I think Amber can do as much as she can at school, but the follow-up at home is just kind of lacking too in some of the families, so, and that's not anybody's fault, so.
No, and that's not something we get to control.
No, not
Like,
at all.
you know, no matter what, I mean, we all wish that we could live in a world where people
Yeah.
were good to one another, but likely there's gonna be behaviors in classes. This just
For
seems to
sure.
be
It's
something
Especially
unusual.
intense, yeah.
Yeah.
This is- seems
And I just,
especially intense.
God, I hate to see Amber have it up to here, you know, 'cause she's such a gem, I think.
Oh,
so.
damn. Yep.
Well, and I think if we don't invest in figuring it out now, whatever that figuring it out now is,
Well, yeah.
it's gonna be there in kindergarten.
It's a trickle
It's
effect,
gonna be,
yeah.
and then we have perpetual more behavior issues that you have to deal with all through elementary school because they never learn those basic skills, so.
Yep, we're on it. Okay, any other comments from the board?
Is there gonna be more Friday school coming back?
Yeah, we had it last week and.
That was an actual school day though, wasn't that?
No.
No,
it was
last
Friday
week
school.
was Friday school, this week is real school.
And the 2 weeks ago was.
Was
Was
real
real school,
real school.
because there were 2 Monday holidays,
Yes.
and so those 2
Shifts,
weeks
yeah.
shift. The one in the middle, there was Friday school,
Okay.
and the answer is yes. There's a lot of, like, there's a grading day and a PD
Yeah,
day,
the
like, there's a
semester's
lot of
ending
full
and-
Fridays
I'm just
in
getting
here,
some
but
feedback from lots of students and some teachers about, like, cause Friday school is kind of where some of these, like, major things are happening, like student council, like farm to table projects. The greenhouse project that the high school started last year is kind of just dead in the water because there haven't been like the time to do it. So anyway, I promised these students and these teachers that I'd bring it up. So anyway, that's just my comment. I'd love to see that happen. If there needs to be some other supports, or it sounds like the teachers and the students kind of handle that. There's not a huge amount of admin except for just making sure it's on the schedule and that buses run. So I'm just hoping to get that maybe a little bit more bolstered if we could.
We'll send those dates. We'll get a list of dates
Great.
out for everybody. But it feels like on a 4-day school week you'd have every Friday open, and then all of a sudden you're like, where did the Fridays go?
Yeah,
So
and that's what I figured, and it's just
early in the year,
there was a
it was getting
break,
it
and
set
then
up.
there was it was just kind of getting ramped up to get back in. So it could just feel like it hasn't been happening because there's just not been a lot since before break.
Yeah.
But just wanted to make sure that was being.
I had one other question. The survey, I know you had mentioned it and it reminded me that I wanted to bring it up tonight. Like surveys that are out there. I happened upon one on Facebook.
Say it again.
Surveys, like I just happened upon it on
Pawn.
Facebook.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I heard pawn and I couldn't figure it out.
But it made me realize, and I don't normally scroll through there like crazy, nor do I really click into anything if I do. And I just did and went through it, and then I thought, well, where did that come from, and how does anyone else see it?
So
'Cause
it's
I
been
would've
sent
never-
out through the Remind app as well,
Yeah.
elementary
It was. I got
and
it from the school.
Me too.
yeah, elementary and high school, the same day, I think, or the following morning that it was posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
And we have QR codes posted all over here, and then we'll keep communicating those out, the different engagements, those kind of things. But it has been sent out through various avenues. So I'll follow
I
up
just
on
thought that was awkward
Are there other ones that you can think
I
of?
didn't know anything about it, and I thought, well, okay, I hadn't heard about it here. I hadn't heard about it as a parent. Otherwise, I must not have that Remind app. One, I mean, I have all sorts of other ones. The ones from my school
My
or
phone is dinging.
different ones, but so I just didn't see that one, and it just made me concerned that if you weren't in whatever electronic realm, obviously, that it came,
Yeah.
how would you know?
Yeah.
So.
It, we're using as many realms as we can to
I mean,
send
so and then
those
this
things
realm
out.
like wasn't an option, or
In
like
terms of
Paper, you mean just like
sending
sending
it
something
to
home?
home? I was like,
It's
maybe
not-
I don't check
so
my
it
mail
actually,
often enough, but
well, it's not a paper survey, and we don't have the capacity to move paper surveys in with the rest of it, so paper will not be an
I
option.
So
just
you're
didn't
just saying
know
like a notification that's available online.
anything.
So like something
Yeah,
like
I was just like, where
with
did this
the
come
QR
from? I
code.
had never heard about it here. I'd never heard about it in any of my other interactions, or as a parent, or even just amongst parents, and I didn't even know what was a thing, or what you guys were doing, or why, and I was like, oh, thank God I clicked into that one. I'm gonna answer the heck out of this, but
So it's
I knew
yeah.
absolutely nothing about it. So.
and just connecting that, so that's one of many engagement formats for guiding the
Portrait of
continuous improvement. Actually, not portrait. The integrated plan and student success. I have like surveys in all districts are a part of that, and inform continuous improvement.
I feel like
too.
it
So
was announced too. I remember hearing about being encouraged to go do it. I got it twice because I have an elementary student and a high school student, and then it was like Janine posted it in the parents, and then it also got posted on the Mapleton school. I mean, I'm in all those realms. I see what you're saying, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, I got it a ton.
Right.
And then you're saying that you didn't
Yeah,
get it
I
at
just
all.
happened
So I'm
on it, so
Yeah.
I definitely answered certain
But
questions based
yeah.
on the
But
fact
I
of
feel
like,
like
no,
the
I
school
didn't
did
know
push
what was
it
going
out.
on.
I
I
got it a
had a lot of
million
ways to know
times.
what's
Me too, I
going
got
on,
it.
and I
Yeah.
didn't know what was going on.
I will
so.
double check. I think a paper with a QR code went in that too. I will double check that happened. I feel like it's a quarter sheet with the QR code and something there.
I feel like
but
it did come home in one of Jada's
yeah,
flyers.
I will double check that one. There's lots of
Well,
flyers
I mean,
and
and I have a high
things,
school
but
student who's
True.
careless,
I was
and
gonna
she
say,
takes
like,
anything out. I mean, I don't even
I'm
want to
never
look in that
gonna get a piece of
backpack.
paper
I don't know
in
how
my
one
life
more
from a
thing
kid.
can fit in there, but I don't see any of that.
Yeah.
So.
So
I
that-
think high school kids are like probably the least way to get to their parents, but
that's where, and just to continue to name, like, those are tough. I mean,
yeah.
if paper doesn't make it home in electronic
I
is
think
hard
it just
to get there.
it heightened my thoughts about it because I felt like people would come to me or ask me questions because they think because we sit in this room we know what's going on, and I have acted with my kid in the school and I didn't know, so I thought, well, my gosh, if I got a question from someone else, I didn't know myself, and I feel like I have a lot of facets of being involved and I didn't know, so it just made me concerned that there might not have been the numbers or everyone hit that maybe would have or could have or should have been hit if they didn't know. So
It's like, this is like our age-old problem. We never manage
Yeah.
to get it out in all the ways that I mean, there just aren't those ways in some cases, other than maybe a phone call to each.
Yeah, and those are things we're working. I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys noticed the form to like, so on the hallway activity,
Yeah,
the
the
like
communication
Yeah.
preferences.
One of them says my preferred mode of communication, or I don't know what it says, something like that, and it and like literally, phone, text, email, Facebook, Instagram, U.S. mail. I don't remember the rest, but newsletter.
Carrier pigeon.
Yeah.
I shoot. Next
Drives
one.
you my house.
So, but I don't remember where I was recently. Actually, I think it was that Sayusla family event. Was it Mary? It was you. Mary's was one of the speakers at that Sayusla family listening session, community think tank, and got up there and said, "Hey, communication. If we ask people what the preferred method, like, don't just say, do you want to communicate with us, but how do you want to?" And so that question is there, and we're going to keep building that. And turns out, like, it's going to take 17 avenues and knowing personal for each one.
But we're a small enough school, I feel like we can
do
like
it.
meet each person's preference. Is
Yeah,
how I
like,
feel,
you
and
have
I mean,
your
I feel like that's
emailers,
how
you're
the
having this
site
and-
watershed is, but even Mapleton is a little bit even more pared down version of that. Like, I mean, we can count how many families are in this school. We can meet each of their communication preferences, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So we're starting to try to collect that, and in the parent survey, I think it asks that question, right? How do you prefer to communicate?
Things like
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I can't get them that survey, I don't have that answer. So I think we keep collecting. Like,
But I did get it a million times, and I
Yeah.
know it was talked about, and I know it was sent home. So I mean, on paper, verbal, Facebook, remind app. So I do want to acknowledge that, like, you did send it out all those ways, and I
we're
got
trying.
them all
Right.
those ways. So in some ways it is working. You are reaching.
I'm gonna get an
families.
elementary kid again. That's when you get.
Yeah, that's when you get information,
Yeah.
because they actually bring stuff by.
They're pretty good about.
Give me my double.
Yes. They're pretty good about doing
Yeah,
those
anytime you
things
can
with
save
things
a
that
big
need a
stack from
signature.
here.
Because
Yes.
that's why I get it. It's
that's
because
smart.
Jada's like, I need a signature from you, and then there's all this other information. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's smart on Brenda and the elementary school side. There's usually something the kid has to bring back. And that helps.
You don't need doubles.
All right. Are we adjourning?
So just one thing, my board seat is up in June, and I don't plan to run again, so we will have an open seat.
Awesome. Get the word out.
Get the word out, yeah.
Yep.
That'd be great.
Well, yeah, okay. Thank you, Mary Ellen, for all that
Yeah.
you
Do
have
it-
done.
do I get to
on the
boo?
board. I know.
Boo.
I
I'm not
don't
done yet.
want you to leave
Yeah.
because you've been an awesome asset to the board.
Yeah.
But I want you to do what's right for you, so, But, like, yeah, you really have done amazing work and hopefully brought a lot that will, like, last for us on the board.
Yeah. I feel like you have a very lasting impact.
I think
I don't know if that's good or bad.
That's
but
no,
a
in
good
a
one.
really good way. I mean that in the absolute best of
That
ways.
bossy girl is finally leaving. She got some
No, I
And
don't
heck, you
know.
had one a year last year, so.
I don't think
No.
that's how you will be remembered. I think actually the assets you brought are very your own. We all bring what we bring, but there will be a big hole in this board without what you bring, because you excel in ways that some of us are not. That's not our forte. But somebody will jump in there.
They'll have
They
their own
won't be-
strengths.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
won't
exactly.
be Mary Ellen, and we'll miss you for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Big time.
So we get to have this like talk about how much we love and will miss her from each meeting until June, right? Is that what I'm hearing? Because it's only January. I see what you did. Yes. And then February, like, I'm Mary Ellen. You're amazing.
No, we don't have to talk about it again.
If we put a
March.
new thing there every week, will you change your mind? New present.
A new present. I like this present.
Yes.
We do.
Yeah.
It has
We
a
won't
neighbor
say the
on it.
word bribe, but we will
Yeah.
say it.
Something different there every month. So, how do we want to make sure that people know so that they can be thinking about joining or, you know,
I
whether they
just
a
opened a
candidacy?
piece of mail today that looks, I just gonna bring it to you in the morning, that says like there's these positions and answer something to the elections council or something, and so, like, I opened it, I was like, this looks important, and it's sitting on the top of my pile for tomorrow, so I think we'll revisit this and do something with that piece of mail, and then, like, the process for running for election, I think, making that as accessible as possible,
Yeah.
getting that out to different channels, encouraging that, I think is really important so that it's a accessible process.
Yeah.
I don't know all that information, but I'm hoping us filling out that form says they'll send that information, and we'll, yeah. And if you all hear anything or like, actually this is the first step, those of you who have run and done this, I think that would be helpful for us. Send it my way and we'll keep sending it out to folks. So.
All right.
All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I second.
Moved and seconded, let's make them.
Get some hamburgers on the way
Get
out.
out of here.
Yeah.
I'm getting one.
This was really amazing.